this is Seema and I am back with a new lesson on English expressions using a very common word, which is the word let. Well, the word let is used almost every time, 1,000 times in a day. Okay, but when you use that with some other words, the meaning is completely different, right? So let's see what these different expressions come out to be. The first one is to let someone know. To let someone know basically means to give information, or shall I say to notify someone, to give notification. Okay, so I can say, let me know if you want to come out for a movie tonight. Let me know if you would like to see a doctor today. So letting someone know is giving someone information or notifying them about someone or something. Okay, and the next one is let's say. When do I say let's say? When I'm creating, so this is an expression we use when we are creating an imaginary or shall I say a hypothetical situation. Well, imaginary or hypothetical means that the actual situation has not yet taken place, but you are kind of imagining it. You are creating it in your mind, and that's when you use the word, the expression, let's say. So, for example, you could say, let's say we sold 100 copies of this book. What would we do with this money? So basically, you are creating an imaginary situation wherein you are thinking that maybe you would sell 100 copies. Or you could say, let's say I get, a 90% in my math test. What would I do then? Would I go for a career in science, or would I go for a different career? So basically, let's say is all about using that expression when you are trying to create an imaginary situation in your mind. Okay, and the next one is let's see. Okay, now let's see can be used in two different ways. One of the ways you will use let's see is when you are not very sure about something. And the other way you will use the word let's see is to say that you or somebody else, I or we, want to discover. I'll tell you how we can use both these different meanings in a sentence, okay? If you use the word let's see, if you are not very sure, well, let's give you an example, okay? Are you going to the party tonight? You're not very sure. So you will say, let's see, I might go. I'm not very sure, because you're not sure. So you use the word let's see. But if you want to use it in a different meaning, okay, when you want to say I or we want to discover, okay, so somebody may ask you, or you may say something like, I have written my research. Let's see what the professor has to say about it. So you want to discover what is going to happen, and that's why you use the word or the expression let's see. So let's see is used in two ways: when you are not very sure about something, and when you want to say, it's another way of saying that I or you or we want to discover as to what's going to happen, what's going to be done next. Okay, and the next one is let me see. Now let me see is an expression you take when you are pausing, or when you take a pause for a moment to think. So this is normally something you say when someone asks you a question. So somebody may say something like, Seema, for how long have you been writing? Okay, now I don't have an answer immediately. I need to pause to think. So I will take a pause and I will say, let me see. I started writing when I was fresh off college in the year 2007. Following that, in the year 2009, I enrolled in a writing class, and then I became a full-fledged writer, which means I've been writing for, say, 7 years, right? So let me see is basically an expression you use when you're asked a question, but you don't have an answer right away. You need to pause a little bit to think and then give your answer, right? The next one is, let's call it a day. Well, when do you use this expression? Let's call it a day is basically an expression to say that we've finished our work for today. Now, maybe your work is not completely over. Maybe your work is completely over. But when you finished the day's work, you say, let's call it a day. So you may say that we've unpacked 200 boxes. Let's call it a day. So maybe you've got 5,000 boxes to unpack, but you've done today's share of your work, and that's why you say, let's call it a day. All right, and our next expression using the word let is to let's shake on it. Well, when do I say let's shake on it? Do you really mean shake? No, it's not that. It means that you are confirming an agreement by the shake of hands. In other words, it could also mean making a deal. So, you are selling me your computer and I'm buying it. So you say, my computer is for $500. I say, $500? No, that's not what it's worth. I'll give you $400. You say $450 and we're done. I say, okay, $450 it is. Let's shake on it. So we have made a deal, or we have confirmed an agreement and we've shook hands on it. So that's what let's shake on it means, okay? When you confirm a deal and then shake your hands on it. The next one is let it slide. Okay, let it slide is an expression used when you choose to ignore an error or someone's mistake, or when you choose to ignore a problem. So you can say something like, one of the employees was coming late every day, but we let it slide because we had more important matters to attend to. So you chose to ignore that person's error. You chose to ignore a potential problem for whatever reasons, because you probably had some other things to attend to. So letting something slide is choosing, making a choice to ignore a person's mistake or a person's error or a problem in particular. Okay, and the next one is to let someone in on. Well, this seems to be a little bit strange because we've got two words which are prepositions, which are in and on in one sentence and together, right? So what is it to let someone in on? What is it? It basically means to tell a secret. Okay. So when you want to tell someone a secret, you are letting someone in on something that you know and that other people don't know. So I can say something like, I will let you in on something. I will let you in on something. Now, Maria got the job because she was dating the boss's brother. Okay, that's a secret, yeah? So when you let someone in on something, you are telling them a secret that only you and very few people know, right? And the next one is to let go. Okay, what is it to let go? Let go is basically to get your hold off or get your hands off. So you are holding something and then you just let it go. You just let it go, yeah? So I have a balloon in my hand, I let it go. It just goes off, yeah? So when I get my hands off something, it's called letting go. So I can say that my nephew was crossing the road with me. He was holding my hand, but then he let go of my hand and ran across the road. So he got his hands off mine. He let go of me, right? The next one is to let your guard down. Okay, so this basically means, okay, what is a guard? A guard is something that protects you, right? So as long as your guard is up, you are protected. You are being very careful. So when you let your guard down, when you let your guard slip, it basically means that you are not being careful. Or you are not protecting yourself, okay? So you can say something like, the Prime Minister let his guard down, because of which, you know, he could have been kidnapped, right? Because as long as you put your guard up, as long as you do everything to protect yourself, you are well protected. But as soon as you let your guard down, as soon as you are not being very careful in protecting yourself, well, that's going to be very dangerous, yeah? So that's what letting your guard down is all about. Well, that's it from me on this lesson on English expressions using a very common word called let. I hope you found it interesting. So I'll be back with some more lessons. Until then, this is me saying goodbye.